It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. There you go. Not, net. Yes, it is Halloween Eve. You know, trick or treat. Well, we're going to be in for a treat tonight because not only do we have Dave Shannon with us from the Altoona area, returning for, I guess, the first time this season, Chad States. Long time, of course, announcer with us here on the airnetwork.net. Chad, how you doing first off? How's things going?
Doing good. Glad to be here on this foolish and creepy night.
Oh, it's going to be a creepy one. Well, not as creepy as it could be because Jimmy's not with us tonight. Unfortunately, Jimmy Ty had some things to do at school tonight with his daughter. And Jimmy, we miss you, man, but we'll see you next week. Hey, meanwhile, Dave Shannon, what's happening with you, buddy? How'd you make out that fishing trip recently to Erie?
I was shocked at how many people were there in the middle of the week fishing.
Mm-hmm. Hey, well,
it used to be a safe time to go, and yeah, you always expect some people around,
right?
But it was the crowds that were there to fish were similar to what they are any weekend, and it was Tuesday and Wednesday, that I was there last week. So obviously, all of the attention that steelheading is getting in the Erie area, and of course that extends down. Hey, the Pittsburgh Tribune ends up printing stories.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Did you have any luck up there last trip, by the way?
I had 9 steelhead on Wednesday and was able to land 4 of them.
Wow.
So, you know, it's they're pretty active right now. They just basically made a good run upstream, and now there was more water, more rain here the last couple of days, so there are new fish that entered in out of the lake and are continuing their sojourn upstream in order to spawn.
And that is why everybody was there that week that you were there, because you mentioned it on Monday Night Sports Talk the week before. So, hey, you get what you got. Anyhow, hey, Chad States. Chad, listen, you have a guy that you want to introduce to us. He's going to be joining us from time to time. This youngster is in middle school, 7th grader, a soccer player. Probably, hey, Dave, you'll love this. He'll probably be a future astrophysicist or something. I understand you've got in the studio with you tonight little Ryan States. Don't want to call him little, man, but that's your son, right?
I was going to say, speaking of spawning, this is my son, Ryan States, guys.
And you didn't have to go upstream to get him. So, hey, Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Hey, welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk. You know what? If you get a chance, just chime in. We want to kind of get a young person's perspective on sports as we see it these days. That's what we discuss every week. So welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk. Let's get started, guys. Chad, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. Dave's been with us from week to week, and also Jimmy. But, you know, we got into the baseball season. Obviously, Pirates didn't do as well as we thought that they would do. Your Nationals probably didn't do as well as you thought they would do. But here we are, Cleveland and Chicago. You know what? Here again, Chicago's down going into Game 6, going back to Cleveland. I mean, just your assessment on the World Series real quick, and now I'll get to Dave and Ryan.
It's one of the best World Series I have seen in a long time. It's held my attention from Game 1 all the way through now to Game 6. I think a lot of it has to do with the two teams that are playing because they haven't won in such a long period of time, but it's also the type of baseball that they're playing, too. I mean, this was a Cubs team that was coming in, probably the best hitting team in all of Major League Baseball, and sound of the bats. Haven't heard
good
much
pitching. Good pitching. You know what that does.
But the other thing is, you're watching Terry Francona play small ball the right way. He is playing the game. He is making all the right moves. He is doing all the right things with his pitching staff. That, let's face it, guys, they're missing 2 of their top starters, and they're also missing Michael Brantley, their top hitter, their top player altogether.
Right.
These guys are on the brink of winning a World Series. So, you know, Cleveland is playing baseball exactly the way the game is supposed to be played. Pitch to pitch, base to base, taking advantage of what you need to take advantage of, looking at what the other team is going to be doing and making the right substitutions. It's wonderful, wonderful to watch if you're a baseball fan.
Dave, don't you think, though, this series is coming down to really pitching, though? I mean, it's not – we've seen some great exhibits of hitting from time to time with both clubs, especially the Cubs. But, man, it's coming down to the guys are bringing out of the bullpen when it's all said and done, especially like after last night's game with the Cubs.
Well, here's the one thing about it. How many World Series games have you seen finish with a score of 1-0?
Yeah.
How long has it been since that happened? And you're right. That's pitching. That's the result of pitching. Now, Here's one other thing that I want to say about this. And you take traditional, and I know things change in the postseason because there's a different strategy that you may want to use in order to win games. But I have never seen managers manipulate a pitching staff the way they do. And when you're seeing a bullpen guy come in the fifth inning to finish out because the starter gets into a little bit of trouble, it just blows me away. And you know what? These guys, both Madden and Francona, have pulled the strings at the right times to get their pitchers in. That being said, there's one last thing about pitching I do want to bring up, and that is seeing Aroldis Chapman, which you think is lights out. And normally in a straight National League game that's being played, you're going to see him in the ninth inning only for the most part. Mm-hmm. And last night we saw him for 3 innings, and what that did expose is if Joe Madden wants to use him for 3 innings, he becomes vulnerable as the time goes on. He's used to being out there and basically just facing 3 batters, maybe 4 in an appearance. Right. And once you get him to the point where, and of course that's the batters get used to seeing how fast his fastball is. You know, how many people do you know that are throwing 103 miles an hour at a moment's notice?
Consistently.
They can do it every pitch.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, you were there with your dad in the man cave. You've been watching some of these games. What's your thoughts on, first of all, this series between the Cubs and Cleveland? This might be one of the very few and one of the first series that you've watched and really been able to pay attention to. What's your assessment, and who do you think wins this thing? And does it go seven games?
Well, I would say coming into it, a lot of people thought that this was going to be a shutout World Series for the Cubs. Mm-hmm. But the Indians have come out and proved that the only way that Chicago is going to be able to win this is to, within what they need to do in 6, if they even want to get a Game 7, is Chicago has to score early and hold it. They just have to put pressure on the Indians to make them, so the Indians have to chase them. Yeah. And I would say this is a very exciting World Series to watch.
Yeah, it is an exciting one. And I know, Chad, you get a chance to spend some time with Ryan watching these games. I mean, you guys probably kibitz a little bit. During this season, did you ever get into a spat between yourselves, your son and yourself, regarding, you know, what the next move should be in baseball, especially during this series?
Not really. Yeah. Because he knows that I know more than he does.
Isn't that the way it should be?
And he will know that.
You playing that.
Really. I mean, you know, the great thing is he and I can sit down and watch baseball together as a father and son combo, and it's just it's meaningful. You know what I mean? You know, he doesn't play the game anymore. He's chosen to play soccer, but it's meaningful just to be able to sit down and watch a baseball game with your son and enjoy the game. Yeah. Really what it is in its purity, and you know, and kind of living that American dream, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, that is so cool. By
the way, speaking of that, I want to tip my cap to the American public, the American television viewing public. Yeah. For the first time, when a World Series game has been up against an NFL game, the World Series game got higher ratings than the NFL game, which was a pretty good NFL game.
Yes, it was.
Between Dallas and Philadelphia.
And we will talk about that game,
I was going to say, Dave, it wasn't just any team that they went up against. It went up against the NFL's biggest market team in the Dallas Cowboys.
America's team.
Exactly. America's team. I alluded to earlier, this isn't an ordinary World Series. Yeah. This isn't, somebody who's won it, the last 3 years or whatever. These are 2 teams that are starving for a championship. Right. So it's captivating to us as an audience to watch this series to see who's going to end the drought.
Right. And speaking of the drought, going back to the 40s, by the way, Dave, your feelings, I think you gave your prediction last week with Jimmy that this series would probably go 7 games and Chicago would win it.
No.
That was not you. That was maybe Jimmy.
Cleveland. He said that it was either going to be the Cubs in 6 or the Cubs in 5.
Oh, is that what he said? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. So. Now we're going into Game 6 here, and let's be quite honest, man. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Cubs are down now. I mean, because the Indians only have to win that 1 game, and they could do it very easily tomorrow night. Back at their home. Is this an advantage for Cleveland to be back home, or is it best that Chicago be on the road now because of all the pressure of being at Wrigley Field?
I don't think that really is going to factor into the game other than for the fans.
Okay.
I think that's the only way, because I'll tell you what, in all the interviews and everything that I've seen with these guys, now you don't always necessarily show your feelings or how much pressure you may be under, but neither one of these teams seem to be aware of the home road or anything in particular that's a pressure. I had to laugh when Kipnis hit the home run the other night, and of course he became the first player, visiting player, to hit a home run in a World Series at Wrigley Field since Babe Ruth.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, and he's there. And see, Kipnis his hometown's not that far away from Chicago. I forget exactly where.
Yeah.
But it's like he said, I didn't even know. That's kind of neat.
They're learning things for the first time. Hey, Ryan, how are you enjoying this World Series as you sit back and you watch history being made with some teams? Matter of fact, I don't even know, Chad, to be quite honest, if your dad Jerry was even living last time either one of these teams appeared back in the World Series back in the 40s.
Talk, but I decline to answer that.
Well, I'm not going to decline it because I believe he's younger than, I think he might have been a 50s baby. I don't believe he was way back in the early 40s. But how's Ryan feel about that? Ryan, how do you feel about it? How do you see this thing wrapping up? Is it going to go 7? I mean, what's your feeling on it?
Well, like my dad said, it's really fun to see two teams that really want this game.
Yeah.
That really want this World Series to finally put away the demons that have been cast on them for so long. But
yeah.
I think that I'm betting that Cleveland's going to win this, but I'm saying it's going to be in a game 7. I'm saying
7.
The Cubs are going to ride high tonight, or not tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Tuesday, after winning yesterday and a win that they needed.
Yeah.
They're going to ride high tomorrow, and they're going to beat them. And then
take it to 7 games.
With the Indians being back against the wall, I think they're going to just come out, and it's going to be close, but I think they're going to win it.
Hey, Chad, do you have that kind of money that this kid can be betting your money? Because I assume you give him an allowance because he doesn't have a job. He said, well, I'll bet my money. Is it your money or his money?
No, it's his grandma's money.
Oh, his grandma. Oh, okay. I was just curious. Yeah.
He's banking on Corey Kluber with me.
That's what I was going to ask you, Chad. Okay, Chad.
Has been for the last month. So.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Joe Buck seemed to be enthralled with the name Kluber. He just seemed to use it forever and ever. He gets on something from time to time during these baseball games.
Yeah.
Is Kluber the guy that everybody's going to look towards being in that rotation and winning this thing for the Indians?
Well, he's a Cy Young Award winner. He won the award 2 years ago.
Okay.
And, in honesty, we'll talk about Joe Buck, but I just want to bring to light that John Smoltz is the best color analyst on
You
TV
said that. Yeah, I saw that.
Out there, period, end of story. To me, it's not even close. And the way he's able to describe the game and the way he's able to break down pitches, like John Lester last night when he's saying, hey, Lester's not spinning the ball against the pitcher whenever he should be throwing a curveball. He's throwing fastballs all the time and not getting out of this and out of that.
Right.
It's just absolutely wonderful to hear. But, as far as Joe Buck goes with Kluber's name needs to be talked about all the time because the guy's just that good.
Yeah.
He's the new Madison Bumgarner.
That's what I was going to ask you because Chad had said this was going to be the Giants' year because it is an even year.
Right.
Yeah. So Kluber's the guy. So how do you see this wrapping up real quick then, Chad? As Ryan said, it's going to go 7, but he sees Cleveland winning it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I see Cleveland winning it. I don't know if it makes it to Game 7. I think that raucous crowd, and honestly, with the Cavs winning it last year, in basketball, I really think that it's just Cleveland's time. There's some sort of magic going on, some sort of voodoo going on with this team that they weren't supposed to win 94 games without their best player.
Right.
They weren't supposed to beat Boston. They swept them. They weren't supposed to beat Toronto. There's something that you just can't define, kind of like Dave was talking about with the Giants. You can't define it. I think they're going to get this done tomorrow night. I really do.
Okay, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon in Altoona tonight. We've got Chad States in Huntington, along with Ryan States, by the way, joining us for the first time here in Huntington as well. Dave, emotionally, what happens to those fans in Chicago if the Cubs don't win this thing? Because, I mean, everybody's sort of like wearing this on their sleeves, man. I mean, like, and even people out here in America who basically we were looking for the Cubs. We didn't necessarily see the Indians. And I see the country is kind of divided now, but at the same time, you know, you got to feel bad if the Cubs don't win this thing.
Oh, I don't necessarily feel bad. You know, it's just it's the game of baseball. That's why baseball, to me, always has been and always will be a beautiful game.
Yeah.
Because you can, and sometimes it bugs me how much statistics, sabermetrics, and all that crap gets thrown into the sport. And I just don't like it. Yeah, man, it really irks me. But it is part of the game now. So, you know, people use their sabermetrics and what have you. But isn't it great? Because if you let this series be played out on paper, it would be over and the Cubs would have the World Series trophy.
Right.
However, it's not being played on paper.
Okay.
It's being played on a field by men who will make mistakes from time to time or will make a good decision from time to time that will vault their team to maybe a loss or a win.
Right.
And that's the beauty of baseball, and that's what you have going on right now. You have that team that statistically, on paper, sabermetrics, blah, 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 is currently down 3-2.
Let me ask you guys round robin real quick, then starting with Chad and then Dave and then Ryan. Who would be your MVP thus far in that series, Chad, in this Chicago-Cleveland? Kubler?
Games and he's dominated 2 games.
Oh, really? You're right. Who do you think, Ryan, would be the MVP of this series then?
I would have to agree with my dad.
Okay. Right. Okay, speak up a little bit so we can hear you, buddy. Hey, Dave, who do you have as the MVP of this series then?
Well, obviously, if the Indians go on to win, it's going to be Kluber that should be the MVP. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. There's one other guy that you have to keep in mind because of his performance out of the bullpen. That is Andrew Miller. What a freaking job he's done.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, let me ask you guys real quick as we wrap up this series thing, because, you know, as people tune in on Thursday or Friday and they listen to the rebroadcast of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the Air Network, this thing may be over and done, obviously. Manager of the Year, is there any question in the National League or the American League who the Manager of the Year should be, Dave? I mean, these two guys, obviously, they would be vying for that title.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're in top contention, but I can think of some other people here that did a pretty good job with their teams over the course of the season.
Well, give me some names. Give me some ideas.
Well, on the National League side, of which I know more of than the American League, the manager of the Dodgers, Chad.
Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts. I got to give him points because that's a big change that they went through there in L.A. And I thought he handled that really well.
Yeah.
And the other guy is, from Chad's point of view, maybe. But I thought Dusty Baker created a lot of consistency for the Washington Nationals to be able to be in the position they were at the end of the season. So I think you got to think about, even though, yes, the World Series is the prize that everybody's after.
Right.
But the bottom line is there were a couple of other managers that did a really decent job to get their teams to a point where they were able to compete.
Chad, do you have anybody different on the Manager of the Year this year? I mean, he mentioned Dusty Baker. I think that's a matter of contention there. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think Joe Madden's going to win it in the National League. I really do. Dave's right, though. Dusty Baker did that with a team full of, I mean, that's a team full of expensive hotheads.
Yeah.
The Nationals is not an easy team to manage, but, I'm going to be a homer here, and I'm going to say in the American League side, Joe Girardi better get some votes.
Oh,
he had that team in the second half after trades, and Dave and I talked a little bit about this before we came on air. He had that team after trades, after they lost Andrew Miller, after they lost Aroldis Chapman, in contention to get a wild card spot. That Yankee team had no business being there, and he had it in contention. So
with a lot of young blood, I might add, too.
He's not going to win it, but he should get some votes.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, you have any idea, National League or American League Manager of the Year? Who would you pick if you had a vote?
I would say for the National League, it would probably be Joe Madden.
Okay.
taken the Cubs to where they were last year.
Oh, yeah.
To being the best team, arguably the best team in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
They have and the way that they've played.
Yeah.
And for the American League, I would say it would be another World Series contender. I would say it would be the manager of the Indians.
Terry Francona.
Francona.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so...
Francona, or what he's done with the Indians.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, both of them have taken teams that last year weren't great and turned into really, really good teams.
Wow, yeah. Well, hey, I wanted to get your idea. Go ahead, Dave.
One thing. You had asked about MVP. There's
Yeah.
somebody else I want to throw into consideration, somebody that's impressed the living heck out of me, and that's Francisco Lindor. I mean, that young kid at shortstop he's tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, his ability, obviously his batting average in the World Series is something to behold. The kid plays an outstanding, and it's great, the series too, from that position, from shortstop to watch Addison Russell and Francisco Lindor play shortstop is just a joy to watch. Yeah. They're both amazing.
There were some amazing young cats in the league this year. So, you know what? We'll talk maybe after the series next week, talk about Rookie of the Year, if that hasn't already been selected, and some other, of course, awards that will be giving out in postseason. We'll do that coming up next week. But meanwhile, let's talk some football. That's coming up next on Monday Night Sports Talk. We've got Dave Shannon in Altoona, Chad States in Huntington, along with his son Ryan, who is a 7th grader at Huntington Middle School. He's joining us tonight here on Monday Night Sports Talk. We've got more coming up next. Stick around.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Support the women of the Moose and their upcoming hoagie sale. Freshly made hoagies, only $6. Order yours now for a November 10th delivery. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town. Like us on Facebook.
D.C. Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family are committed and dedicated to excellence by supporting quality education and athletics for all youth of Huntington County. For over 3 generations, D.C. Goodman & Sons and their staff of quality tradesmen have provided excellent service in the installation of plumbing, mechanical and industrial piping, electrical, and fire sprinkler systems. Residential services are also available. D.C. Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family will continue to serve the community, and thank you for your support. The Goodman family wishes you the best to all area students in your pursuit of excellence.
Grab the Big Kahuna, the 24-square cut pizza with your choice of one topping for only $19.99. Now at All American Pizza and Subs at 612 Washington Street, downtown Huntington. All American Pizza and Subs has delivery, and they're the home of great pizza, subs, salad, wings, and more for lunch, dinner, or a late-night snack. Call All American Pizza and Subs right now at 643-0222. Closed Mondays. All American Pizza and Subs. Like us on Facebook. And it's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the InterNetwork.net. Greg Banks hanging out in the studio. Dave Shannon, by the way, live in Altoona. And we've got Chad States along with Ryan States tonight, live in Huntington. Hey, thanks for joining us again, Ryan, for the first time. We're certainly glad to have you along. Jimmy could not be with us, but he'll join us again coming up next week. Hey, Dave, wanted to kick off the football segment with that Penn State game. What a eye-opener. Second half for Penn State. Barkley again named the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, are they headed in a different direction than we thought from the beginning of the season? Or is that just an anomaly? What is it?
I think they're in a much better position than what they were. I mean, they've become comfortable in their own skin. Mm-hmm. The coaching staff, I had mentioned this at the beginning of the show. One of the things that I saw this weekend was football teams that were able to go in at halftime and come back out with a better second half plan than what they did in the first half.
Right.
And Penn State was one of the brilliant examples because they were sitting there, 14-13 at the half against Purdue.
Yep.
And it should not have been that close. But to their credit, they came back out and they just absolutely dominated. They made changes at halftime. And, it just shows me that team is really starting to get comfortable in their own skin. Not that Purdue's the best test in the world. The Iowa game is going to be a big test for them.
That's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and what we traditionally thought to be a game that was a test for the Nittany Lions, the longer the season goes, it seems as though Michigan State is not exactly what you would call the kind of test that you want for the end of the season.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, Chad, watching that game on Saturday, and I'll get to Ryan, it was a tale of two games, actually two halves, really. But as Dave said, Purdue really didn't have anything for Penn State. Is that because of the coaching change and the players probably haven't had a chance to really adjust to the new coach yet?
No, it's because Purdue's just not a very good football.
Okay.
They don't have a real good, strong recruiting base coming out of Indiana. Let's face it, most good kids that are going to be playing in the state of Indiana are going to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to Purdue. They might even go to Indiana now, as Indiana's starting a nice program.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to go to Purdue, so they need to get a big-time coach coming in there. Might be Pat Narduzzi, guys.
Oh, come on.
He's not going to stay at Pitt. Based on his Thursday night performance, he might not want to stay at Pitt. But anyway,
well, come on. We'll talk about that too. But
they just don't have the notoriety at Purdue to be able to get a big time recruit in. Whereas James Franklin, now you're finally seeing some of his recruits and what they can do.
Yeah, exactly.
His wide receiver core is tremendous. Saquon Barkley that he stole from Rutgers here a couple years ago.
Man, yeah.
He's a first-round draft.
What did he have? Over 277 yards or something like that, I think they said. Yeah,
that was combined. He had, I think he had 207 on the ground and then 70 through the air. So
wow.
He did 2 touchdowns too. So, just an outstanding effort by that young man. But you know where they're getting it done at, guys? And it's where we didn't think about.
On defense.
It's the offensive line.
Oh, really?
The offensive line, Penn State is playing really, really well.
Yeah.
And, let's face it, if you can win the war of the trenches, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Hey, is Ryan a big Penn State fan?
Turn Trace McSorley into a real weapon, too.
Oh, that's true, too, because he is passing and running, Dave, right?
Yep,
obviously, so that was something we didn't expect. Hey, Ryan, are you a big Penn State fan, and how'd you like that Purdue-Penn State game, if you got a chance to watch any of it?
Well, I am a pretty big Penn State fan.
Okay.
I'll say that the first half, it wasn't looking very well for Penn State. They couldn't get into the end zone that much.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they had a couple chances, but it was the second half where Penn State exploded and Purdue just didn't have an answer for them.
Right. I
mean, you look at it coming in, what was it, like 14-13 halftime?
Yeah, 14-13, I think, yeah.
And Penn State comes in and dominates.
Oh, no
They
doubt.
had 45 points in the second half, which is among itself showing that, you're right, Purdue wasn't a big test, but it's still showing that Penn State can get it done.
They can get it done. Yeah.
And Barkley, I agree with my dad. Whenever he goes into the NFL, he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know for sure. Now, is Barkley a junior, Chad and Dave? I'm not sure. Is he a junior or a senior?
Barkley's a true sophomore.
True sophomore, so he's got a couple years yet. Yeah.
Well, he's got one.
You think
I'm
he's done?
Sure he'll
One and
stay
done?
And play his junior year, and then you can stand.
Well, he has to.
Yeah.
He has to play next year. He can't leave after next year yet.
Okay.
But,
then you'll stand on College Avenue and wave goodbye as he moves on to the NFL.
As well he should.
Yeah, I remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a workhorse.
Wow. Yeah, he looked good on Saturday, no doubt. And we're not going to belabor that game because, again, Purdue has the problems of their own. But as they move forward this Saturday, Dave, Iowa, I know it's not going to be a lackluster Iowa team. And this is now the thick of their Big Ten schedule as they move into this week. What's your thoughts on or predictions on this upcoming game on Saturday?
Well, because they have the game at home, I'm going to, I think it does have an effect in this particular case. I think are they going to try another whiteout?
I think he said something about another whiteout this season. James Franklin is trying to encourage that, although he probably should keep those people from down in Beaver Canyon, though. But go ahead.
Well, you can't necessarily link the two, but, if they can create the same kind of synergy that they had against Ohio State, then I think they beat Iowa.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me set a final score on that. Penn State 27, Iowa 21.
Okay, so it's going to be that close. Chad, do you have any idea on the Iowa game? Then we'll go to Ryan. What do you think in that game coming up this Saturday?
Every team has their bugaboo. There's my Halloween fun for tonight. Every team has their bugaboo.
I need the music.
Iowa tends to trip up Penn State just when you think Penn State's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what scares me about this game. This game's a trap.
Right.
I don't think Iowa's probably about the same talent level as Penn State right now.
Yeah.
I think the atmosphere of Penn State, I think the fact that these kids now have tasted winning and are really getting used to, hey, we can be a big-time program.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be, 24-17 Penn State.
Okay.
It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a tight game all the way through. But, something scares me about those Iowa Hawkeyes.
Hey, Ryan, I know your friends are going to probably remind you on Monday when they get back to school, but I want you to give your prediction on the Penn State-Iowa game coming up on Saturday of this week. Of course, we'll get your prediction. Of course, we'll find out Monday when you get back to school at the middle school how you made out. What do you think on this upcoming game with Penn State and Iowa?
Well, with my dad saying Iowa really has been able to upset Penn State in places where Penn State just think they're going to destroy them.
Right.
But saying that, I'm going to say that Penn State wins this. But I'm going to say it's going to be even closer than what anybody else said. I'm saying it's going to be 27-24 Penn State.
Woo, okay. And I
I'm
may
say a
agree.
last-minute field goal wins it.
That's the one that wins it. Okay, so that'll be interesting. But Penn State does come out on top, correct? Did he say Penn State was going to win?
That's what Ryan said.
Okay,
yep.
Cool enough. Hey, listen, real quick, Dave, let me go over this Pitt game with Virginia Tech on Thursday night when they played Virginia Tech. Narduzzi kind of lost it on the sideline there. He was fined, I don't know, I think that fine was $15,000. He questioned the call.
Wow. Now, I have to take a pass because I did not see the game.
Okay.
The Penguins were on, and
You're right.
just forgot that Virginia Tech game was on Thursday night. I was expecting it on Saturday, so guilty is charged.
But that's okay because it turned out to be a shootout. I forget what the score was, but there was a lot of scoring. But again, and Chad, you may not have watched it. I was tuning in and out as well. But here again, Pitt, this defense is still suspect. And I think that's where they're having their problems. When you allow any team to score, 40 points, obviously it becomes a shootout. It was sort of like the Baylor-Texas game, where it seems like nobody's getting back on defense. There were some encouraging signs. But now this weekend, as we move forward, Pitt lost that game. University of Miami this week. Any thoughts, Dave, then Ryan, and then Chad on Pitt and University of Miami? Miami hasn't had that stellar season we all thought that they should have, though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be another shootout. It's going to maybe come down to who has the ball last.
Right.
And, so I look for another high-scoring affair with the Pitt defense has not shown the ability to hold another team below 30 points in any way, shape, or form. So I'm looking at a game, and I'm going to go with Miami in this case and call that one Miami 38 and Pitt 28.
And I think they are playing in Miami, Chad, as we speak. So your prediction, because, one of the major teams that they play this season, if you look at Miami as being a major team, it's Clemson as well. And you know what? They're about to get into the meat of their schedule, Chad.
I don't think Pitt's secondary is horrendous. It's like Swiss cheese. It was exposed like a nerve on Thursday night.
Oh,
really bad. And I just don't think that's a leak that Narduzzi can fix. So I actually look to see him get a little bit more animated this Saturday. I think Miami clocks him. I really do.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think of the Pitt-Miami game coming up Saturday? Any kind of prediction or ideas on that?
Well, like they were saying, Pitt's secondary isn't good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Miami's gonna win this.
this one.
Miami, okay. Monday Night Sports Talk, yeah. All right, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the internet. Go ahead, Brian.
I said I'm gonna say Miami's gonna win it, but it's gonna be a shootout where they're both just gonna torch each other's defenses.
And we're talking probably 40 points at least apiece, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and that's not always bad to watch one of those kind of games. It makes it more exciting, you know what I'm saying? Although by the time you go out to get that next beer, you turn around and somebody else has scored, and you're like, dude, how'd that happen? Okay, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon in Altoona. Got Chad States and Ryan States in Huntington, Greg Banks in the studio. Let me ask you this, Dave. The only football game that I cared about yesterday was the Dallas Cowboys-Eagles game, you know, and the reason being that the Steelers had the day off. We had a bye week. We're going to take on Baltimore this week, but we got to face Dallas. You know, this Dak Prescott is nothing to really sneeze at. I mean, or to assume that Tony Romo is coming back to take his job, although there's been a lot of articulation and discussion about it. Yesterday, Dak again proved why he is at least the best backup quarterback in the nation, in my book. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I've been impressed with Dak Prescott since I watched him in the game against Green Bay. And he is the type of quarterback, although he looked a little more and, you know, kind of strange.
Yeah.
He was on the road in Green Bay. I thought he had a better game there than he did at home in a big contest against Philadelphia.
Right.
That being said, he still got the win. Okay.
Hey, but there's a guy that can run the ball too, though, man. He's a threat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, and we've talked about what's Ezekiel's last name?
Oh, man, Elliott, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, you've got to look at that guy, too.
Oh.
Those two combined together have really taken the Cowboys offense to a completely different level. And, of course, like Chad said, too, you know, this gets down to your offensive line. How good are they?
Right.
Well, they're pretty darn good in Dallas. I got to give them that. That's a pretty formidable offensive line. So in that game, which, you know, Carson Wentz didn't have a bad game for the Eagles. You know, it goes to overtime. And thank God the game was actually decided in overtime, because I thought, great, we're going to begin the day with an overtime tie.
Oh, my
and we're
God.
going to end the day with an overtime tie.
And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But, Chad, let me ask you this, if you got a chance at all to watch, because I know the baseball game was on. People were switching back and forth. Although, like you said, Dave, I think the ratings for baseball were much better than for football, even though it was a premier game last night. This situation with Dak Prescott, because you didn't get a chance to weigh in yet, Chad, because you have not joined us yet. But about 3 weeks ago, Dallas Cowboy fans were saying, Tony's still our quarterback. He's our man. And then, of course, that started to wane. What's your thought on a guy like Dak Prescott quarterbacking, winning? Would you bring Tony Romo back, or does he lose momentum? I mean, does that team lose momentum with bringing him back?
Yeah, it loses momentum with bringing him back. Absolutely. I don't think you can. I think you have to just let him be a backup for this year and, you know, go with Dak. He's 7-1. He's playing good football. Yeah, he's making a couple rookie mistakes, but
yeah,
there's just something about him that's magical. You know, sometimes in sports you can't just explain everything by, hey, this guy's put up this many stats and he's done this and he's done that. Sometimes guys just have a certain something that you just can't explain, and that's what Dak's got.
He's got it. Yeah,
playing behind the best offensive line in football. That really helps out a lot.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Dallas is a really good, they're a really good football team.
Yeah, if you remember,
he's not making the stupid mistakes.
Yeah, if you remember early season, Carson Wentz looked good. You know, I mean, a couple of games, and then he started to wane. He's at least a half-decent quarterback. He maintains for the Eagles, where Dak just seems to be head and shoulders over every other rookie quarterback that I've watched this season.
Again, that offensive line makes a big difference.
That's a difference.
Remember back when Ben Roethlisberger was a rookie.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh had a great offensive line, so he was able to be a game manager. He didn't have to take those risky, throws and do whatever to try to take the game upon your own shoulders.
Right.
Dak's not asked to win a game. Dak's asked to manage a game.
Manage
He's
it.
doing it very well.
Yeah, he is. Ryan, do you get that same feeling about Dak Prescott? And would you, if you were Jerry Jones, bring back Tony Romo as your quarterback, even though he's got the heritage factor? He's been there the longest.
Well, I would say that if I were him, I would leave Prescott in for the season.
Yep.
And wait till next season to see if something sparks in Romo, and knowing that for Romo, he's never really had a challenge to be the quarterback for Dallas.
Yeah.
What I think they're going to want to see is, will Tony Romo play better, knowing that if he doesn't, his career might be gone.
Hey, I think he's going to be trade bait myself. I don't know. I mean, what a wonderful...
The question is why... I don't think he's going to give him up just because what if Prescott gets hurt? Then you are done.
Yeah, that's true, too.
If Prescott gets hurt, you don't have really anybody else to bring that off. So, I don't think they're going to trade him. I just think they're going to sit him for the year.
Hey, you know what?
It's sad to say because I kind of like Romo.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to be able to start all this year.
And we appreciate that. Ryan States, by the way.
Somebody that doesn't get hurt every year.
And that's true. He is injury prone, Dave. You know, as you think about it, Tony Romo came back this year. And, you know, I think within, the first game, the guy's on his back with bad shoulders or bad back already. And so I agree with Ryan when it comes to that. Hey, let's see Dak run this season, run the table. And then at that point, let's, consider Tony maybe next season. Get him healthy, man. See what happens. And it might, as Ryan said, help Tony Romo increase his game.
Inspire him and get his game up to the next level.
Yeah, he's got to be
which
sitting
he has
on
not been able to do.
No.
I mean, you take his body of work, and how many playoff wins does he have?
That's true.
And this is definitely the Cowboys are in the playoffs.
Right.
I think
there's no doubt.
I don't think I'm making a mistake by saying that at this point.
No.
The question is, will Dak Prescott be able to get a win?
Yeah.
In the postseason. And the other plus about this,
he'll get one before Dalton does.
The bottom line is, you had talked about using Tony for trade bait, but I think Ryan made a good point there. Isn't it great to have your backup quarterback?
Yeah.
The backup to Prescott is Tony
Romo.
That's good stuff.
Hey, you know what? I would take Tony Romo as Big Ben's backup right now. You know what I mean? I'll take anybody other than the guy that we have now. Hey, Chad, having said that, as this season progresses, now the Steelers take on the Ravens coming up on Sunday. We can't really overlook the Ravens to get to the Cowboys in 2 weeks. I mean, but the Ravens probably look at this like, oh, hell, like the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday, even though they haven't beaten anybody this year. What do you think?
I don't think Pittsburgh's in position to overlook the Cleveland Browns.
That's true.
So, and I say that, but I'm not really joking, only in the fact that, they're 4-3. They have to really try to play this thing out.
Yeah.
They can't overlook anybody. And it's a rivalry game. Those two teams, doesn't matter what you have. It's
it could be like Cincinnati too. Yeah, same way. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's a division game. They're going to go at it no matter what. No matter what's going on. So this will be a tough game for Pittsburgh. And, Baltimore's going to give them everything that they've got, no doubt about it. We don't know the status of Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I thought somebody told me earlier today that Ben might be ready to go this Sunday. I'm thinking that's kind of early. Don't you think it's kind of early?
I think it's kind of early. I don't think he's going to be ready, and I don't think that you push the issue. You want to get through some of these games. You got to see what Landry Jones is going to be about because Ryan did bring up a good point. You do need a good, solid backup quarterback in the NFL. I think that Romo is going to be too high priced to play behind Dak Prescott with that salary he has. But regardless, without a number two, you're sunk in the National Football League.
That's true.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. But let me ask you guys as we go round robin here real quick, Dave. MVPs for the NFL. If you were to select the NFL MVP, these are some of the names that are being tossed around right now. And I want to see what you think. We'll go with you and then Ryan and also Chad. Ezekiel Elliott of the Cowboys, MVP. Matt Ryan of the Falcons, MVP. Antonio Brown of the Steelers, MVP. And even though he's been back for a couple games, Tom Brady, MVP. What do you think?
Out of the selective choices that I have, it's Elliott. That you gave me. Out of the choices you gave me, it's Elliott, hands down.
Really?
Brady is what he is. I don't know that he's doing anything different than he did before. And the other thing, the amount of games that the New England Patriots were able to win without him tends to me to show how good of a team and how good of a coaching staff they have, because I think we all said this at the beginning of the season when Brady was not in. We were saying we could have quarterbacked that team to a win.
Yeah.
And so I think that just Brady, take him out of the mix.
It's the system.
No.
Yeah, it's the Belichick system. What do you think?
There's a good system. Elliott, to me, is your MVP.
Okay, so if you were to have a choice of MVPs already, Ryan, here it is in game, week 8, week 9, who do you think would be the MVP? Or do you have a person that you have in mind for MVP this year?
Well, I mean, with Matt Ryan, he has players that he can throw to. I mean, he has one of the best wide receivers, Julio Jones, right now.
Right.
So I would eliminate him. Ezekiel Elliott is playing against the best offensive line. And, we don't know, but what would he do if he played for a team that had no offensive line at all? How would he be able to play?
Yeah.
So I would say it would be, as much as I don't want to say this, Tom Brady would be the MVP.
You heard that, Chad. That's your very son, Ryan, 7th grade student at Huntington Middle School. He says Tom Brady. I got to think that even though Brady's only been back a few weeks, he's going to ride this thing out. What do you think, Chad? Who would you select?
I agree with him. And I know, Dave, you're going to boo me, but I'm telling you what. The guy is 39 years old and playing at a level that 25-year-old quarterbacks play.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah.
he's playing angry.
Yeah.
He is out. Listen.
He's out to prove something.
He is out to make sure that he gets a trophy from Roger Goodell at the end of the season. And come hell or high water, Roger Goodell's going to hand it to him.
Yeah, and
and I'm telling you, this guy, he's just that type of an edgy quarterback, that type of a competitor.
Yeah.
That he's going to throw everything at you.
Hey, I'm just saying, Chad, don't get me angry. You know what I can do to people when I get angry.
Listen, I understand that. And fire Bill Belichick at will. I don't care.
Well, let's see if you can get Goodell out of there.
That he is coming out of, but I just think that he's taking his team to another level, and I don't think that there's a team in the AFC that can touch him.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with that.
It's going to be tough,
I
man.
agree with that.
It's going to be tough.
And I don't even know in the NFC. I mean, who is the best team in pro football right now? It's got to be the Patriots. Who touches them?
Hey, you watched those 5 games that Brady didn't play, man. That was a Belichick system inside and out. It didn't matter who you put back there as quarterback, although it looks a lot better when Brady's back there. To be quite honest, they can pretty much beat any team in the NFL using that system. He just seems to be able to use personnel.
Anybody. But they don't dominate with anybody. And they're dominating with Tom Brady.
And, Chad, let me ask you this. They just got rid of another premier linebacker or defenseman today. I mean, it's sort of like they can get rid of players, and then just bring in these no-names that still work within the system. It's unreal.
Listen, Dave, I would rather you fire me than have you trade me to Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this dude got clean.
Poor guy went from a Super Bowl contender to a team that's going to get the first-round draft pick, or the first pick in the draft next year.
And, he will.
I don't know what he did to get it. This guy was a Pro Bowler last year.
They must have put him on an island today. I can't remember his name. I want to say Jones or something.
Collins, I believe.
Yeah, Collins. That's what it was. And I'm like, dude, you got sent to the Cleveland Browns? Slap me. I mean, just kill me now.
Of all places.
So anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. We do it every Monday night, by the way. Talk about sports locally, regionally, of course, and nationally. Dave Shannon live in Altoona. We've got Chad States and Ryan States, by the way, joining us tonight here in Huntington. And yours truly, Greg Banks, in the studio. Hey, by the way, coming up Saturday night, Huntington Bearcats move on in the PIAA District 6 first round of the playoffs. They'll take on Forest Hills, get all the action at 6:40 with the pregame show with Chad States and also Jim Zalzik. We call Chad States, I call him the Stat Cat, Dave, but he's known as the Stat Man in the area. And, of course, Jim Zalzik was longtime coach in Huntington. We'll tell you more about that coming up throughout the week. But, Dave, let me get back to you real quick. And then, hey, Ryan, are you a hockey fan at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Dave is sort of like the expert. He can get you fired or maybe get you hired, especially if you work for the Penguins. Now, for some amazing reason, Dave got Sid Crosby to come back early, although he was probably still dinged up a little bit. He gets on the ice, and the guy scores 2 goals one night. That's amazing. Dave, how did you do it with the Penguins?
Well, the nature of, although I never saw the videotape because it happened during practices when he got the concussion.
Right.
But all the descriptions I happened to be hearing indicated that it was not a severe concussion. I mean, the one he had that was severe, I still say it started that season. And that was at the Winter Classic that was played at Heinz Field when the Capitals just leveled him and his head bounced off the ice. Now, nobody ever wants to say anything about that. I'm not quite sure why, but what brought it to a head was a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning after that stadium game, and that's when he got slammed into the boards and his head bounced off the glass when he was thrown into the boards. And that's where the concussion is alleged to have taken place. I still think it had a lot to do with what the Caps did to him in that game at Heinz Field. That being said, nothing was being said, a whole lot about this. Sidney didn't seem to be too concerned about it. And that's why I thought he would be back, because he's just a tough guy to keep off the ice. I mean, he just spent so much of his life training and being out there. And I think within 4 days of him being announced as having a concussion, he was suddenly, out there skating again. So I knew it wouldn't be too long till he got back. The one thing, there's a couple of areas of concern about the Penguins at this point in watching their games. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I think brought them to a Stanley Cup last year was their ability to shut down teams in the neutral zone. And they're still not showing me that forechecking that they did a year ago to keep teams from getting in to the Penguin zone, or if they did get in, they would only get one shot. They're not doing that this year. Right. Fortunately, they've had enough offense to go ahead. It's like the other night against the Flyers. You have a 4-4 game. Penguins were up 4-3. Flyers tie it. And it looks like maybe this is going to overtime, but the Pens end up winning it in regulation and take away a 5-4 win. But that's not exactly the kind of game that you want to have. Here's another one. This week, look for Matt Murray to be back in the nets for the Penguins.
Wow, okay.
So,
yeah.
Now,
what was he concussion protocol as well, or was he just out with maybe another injury, upper body injury, as they call it?
No, it was his hand. He had his hand broken during the World Cup activities when he was playing for Team North America. And so he had that. His thumb continued in a cast, and he started to play. He started to be involved in practice, and he still had the cast on his thumb, and he was able to play through that. And it's like they were just waiting until, because you want to have full mobility in your hand. The goalie has so much to do and needs full control of his hand. He's at that point now. He's ready to go. They're on a West Coast road trip here, and I look for Matt Murray to get a start here as they go out on the road. They'll be out on the West Coast this week. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. I've got Dave Shannon live in Altoona talking about Penguin hockey tonight. We've got Chad States along with Ryan States joining us for the first time here in Huntington. And, of course, Chad and Ryan, I don't know if you ever heard this story. I met your dad probably when he was 10 years old. And I said, hey, Dave, a mutual friend of ours, Tom Hanks, had him doing some work around the radio station as Chad hung out with, who was it, Brian and, Tom's other son. What was his name?
David.
Yeah, David. That's
Mine
right.
and David both, but David was probably closer to mine.
Exactly. So he's hanging out, and I always remembered there's this kid in Huntington. Oh, he's doing stats and stuff for Huntington High School. So we're going to bring him on the airnetwork.net and do Monday Night Sports Talk, I think. Or did I have you do wrestling first?
You had to do, no, we did Sports Talk.
Sports Talk, okay. And then we moved into wrestling, and I'm like, okay, dude. So now, tonight, we got another generation, Ryan States, who is a soccer player at Huntington Middle School. And before we go through that whole, what'd you think of your first night on Monday Night Sports Talk, Ryan? How'd you like it so far?
It's pretty fun.
Pretty cool.
All the sports stuff.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can get to be an old man like us, and then what you can do is you can open a can of beer and then talk with your friends live over the internet worldwide. Hell, if your buddy Roger Briggs, if he's still in Switzerland, Chad, and I don't know if he is, he might be listening tonight. For all we know,
he made it back on Saturday.
Okay. But he did listen to the Huntington Bearcat game. There you go. But anyhow, listen, that's what the internet does. And, of course, we are very happy to have you join us, Ryan States, tonight. Jimmy Ty will be with us next week. Dave, as we look further into the Penguin Week, you said they're making a West Coast swing. Indeed, they taking on the Avalanche this week, or who they playing on the West Coast, the Ducks or whom?
Yeah, I think they got the Ducks. Hold on a sec.
Pull that schedule up. While you do that, let me ask you guys this real quick, Chad, because we didn't have a chance to get you on the air until this week. College football-wise, top 4, who in your mind is going to be there? Because the actual polls come out tomorrow. I think the voting of the first 4 teams come out Tuesday, tomorrow after our show. Who do you have?
It's pretty clear cut. I mean, Alabama's going to be your
obviously.
1 team. Michigan's going to be 2.
You do? Okay, Michigan.
I think Clemson is going to be 3, and I think Washington will be 4.
Okay, does Ohio State stay in there at all, or no? They don't really. Do they? Ohio State doesn't stay in there then, huh?
No, not with the loss. They don't. Not with the loss to a 20th ranked state.
And with a real lackluster
teams out there that deserve.
I watched Washington. I was not really impressed with them, but go ahead, Dave. You were going to say something.
I was going to say the other thing about Ohio State, what a lackluster. You talk about a hangover after getting beaten by a team that no one expected to beat you.
Right.
They had a real bad hangover because that's all the better you can do. And not sorry, Northwestern fans that may be listening.
Oh, that's right. They did play, and Northwestern played them tough, man.
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
And it's like if you're really that good, Northwestern should not be an obstacle to your team.
Yeah. And
they seem to be for Ohio State. So, I think that just kind of keeps them out of that mix until they prove that they're, in that upper echelon again.
Yeah.
That loss to Penn State's huge.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, you see that any different than what your dad mentioned with Alabama, then perhaps Michigan, followed by, I believe you said, who was that, Chad?
Clemson,
and then Washington. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on the top 4 so far?
I'm agree with my dad on the top 3 so far because I think that's pretty clear cut. But even though they lost to a team that they shouldn't have, I'm going to put Ohio State at number 4.
Okay.
They lost Penn State, but every team's going to have a game where you get upset. It's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
The way they played before that,
I
think they're going to be at the number 4 spot.
Okay, so maybe they haven't peaked yet, but maybe they're just resting for a while, and now they'll come back with vengeance. Dave, who'd you find on the schedule this week for the Penguins real quick, and then we'll wrap it up with some football from high school.
Well, the Pens have this Wednesday-Thursday thing going on. They're at the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday, and then they take on the LA Kings on Thursday.
Ooh, okay.
So that's where you're going to see Murray. You'll probably see him up against the Kings.
Yeah.
But that's the way that lays out. Final game is on Saturday then on this road trip when they go to San Jose and replay the Stanley Cup game. And that's going to be an interesting because the Sharks have come out pretty good there. Currently 6-3-0 on the season. The Pens are 6-2-1. So that's going to be, assuming the Pens don't lose both of these games at Anaheim and LA.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great game between the Pens and the Sharks. That'll be Saturday night, very late night, but it's on a weekend, so you get a chance to watch that. Pens come back home then next week on Tuesday night, on election night, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
And they'll host Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers.
I'd rather watch that game than watch the the numbers coming in on the election. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Chad, real quick, tell us about the District 6 football action. Huntington taking on Forest Hills on Saturday in round 1. They are seeded number 4 and 5, I think, respectively. Forest Hills at 5. How's that all going to shake out, and who else do we have playing over the weekend?
Even matchup going into the game. Both of them with similar records. Both of them coming into a game where they've only beat one winning team. Huntington beating Mount Union, who was 5-5. Forest Hills beating Somerset, who was 5-5. Huntington likes to run the ball a lot. Forest Hills looks like they like to pass the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So I think this is a pretty even matchup on paper going into Saturday night. I like Huntington's chances a little bit more because I think Wing T is a little bit harder to defend. Huntington plays good disciplined football, and it's a team that's getting better as the year has progressed, where it looks like Forest Hills is a team that's kind of on the downslide.
Right.
Plus, playing at home. So I got to give the advantage to Huntington to try to get it into the following week and play that top seed in Central. But regardless, you can't make it out. Listen to Jim and I on the airnetwork.net, obviously. But this should be a really good game to go watch, folks.
Exactly, and those out in Forest Hills, Sidman, Salix area will be able to tune in if they can't make that road trip. They can hear it on the airnetwork.net with Chad States and Jim Zalzik. Well, guys, listen, I'd like to talk longer, but Dave Shannon, thank you for being on the show tonight, along with Chad States. Welcome back, Chad. We missed you, man. We hope you can make many more shows. And Ryan
able to do that. Glad to be back.
Thank you. And Ryan States, thank you for coming on the show, Ryan. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, good job, Ryan.
Very good job, yeah. So listen, make sure, well, obviously we have rebroadcast. We'll be playing this over ad nauseum coming up again tonight, by the way, at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, check it out on our front page here on the airnetwork.net. We'll find out who wins that World Series, talk about that, and maybe some college football and some other stuff again coming up next week. Thank you for joining us all here on the airnetwork.net. It's Monday Night Sports Talk. Have a great night, guys.